simulation can give us a learning environment about working together and being able to create the instruments that would marshal various aspects of US national power and translate it into the doctrine of smart power.
I am absolutely convinced you cannot solve the problem of Afghanistan, the Taliban, the spread of extremism solely through military means. We're going to have to use diplomacy, we're going to have to use development.
The 3 Ds, that's shorthand for a whole of government approach that combines defense, the security element. It involves diplomacy, that's your foreign policy, and development, that's your economic program. If you don't have a whole of government approach toward stabilizing a war-torn country, then it's going to be very hard to succeed in the long term.
In a space of 2 days, we're trying to cram a policy debate that would have happened over a year or 2 years in normal circumstances, or in ideal circumstances. But actually, such as the enormity of the challenge at the moment is that senior policymakers are going to be having to make.
We're working on a timeline that the insurgents and the Taliban and their allies are trying to drive and accelerate, wear the West down and wear the Afghan government down and essentially outlast us.
Afghanistan is probably at its tipping point today. It's likely that by the end of the year, we may have lost the battle for Afghanistan. We certainly won't have won it, but we may have lost it.
We haven't had the diplomacy on the ground to be able to tackle the challenges, particularly challenges between Afghanistan and its neighbors.
Simulations are really important because on the civilian side, we do not plan enough in advance. We don't test different scenarios out as much as we should. So we really need to improve our ability to anticipate, plan for, and really manage these types of operations. And we're so far from where we should be.
Perhaps now with the new administration, we'll be able to reprioritize the civilian efforts to focus on things like governance and rule of law and economic and social development.
Most Afghans just want ordinary lives. And we need to find as many mechanisms to make sure that we deliver on that. They want good governance, law, order, justice, and we haven't yet put enough focus on how to make those institutions work.
The purpose of this simulation is to help us to understand what fundamental improvements we might get if we were able to do things differently in Afghanistan. And I think we've been able to do that with a fantastic group of experts that will help us to see things much more clearly to change our policies in Afghanistan.